Quick editor's note. I immediately call this a video when it's a podcast. I want to apologize, and I want to apologize if I don't sound very enthused. The Ohio weather changes are kicking me pretty good right now, but do enjoy and appreciate y'all.
All right, everyone. Welcome to our first, I guess it'd be post-race weekend reaction video. We're just going to cover the race weekend across the two open wheel series and the three NASCAR touring series this weekend. And as we said before, we don't know a ton about F1 and IndyCar compared to what we know about the Cup Series and Xfinity and trucks. So that'll be a bit more brief also because one of the open wheel races were very tame and the other one was the opposite.
Very, very much the opposite. Yeah, it was
so
wild.
We'll start with this morning with F1 and Bahrain. To no one's surprise, Max Verstappen won the race easily.
Red Bull dominated, all damn day.
Red Bull dominated. Leclerc had a battery issue, so Ferrari's woes continue, I guess. The only thing that I think's worth talking about is how good the Aston Martin cars looked.
They looked extremely, extremely good. They the only ones that I think had a real fight for the Red Bulls. Not that anybody had a fight for the Red Bulls, but they were.
They're clearly the third best car all day.
Right.
And I believe Alonso got driver of the day, which
he did get driver of the day, yeah.
It's very much merited. He had some great moves. He drove up to a podium. His 99th overall. Great for him. I would argue that Stroll deserves it more because the dude broke his big toe and both his wrists like 2 weeks ago. And then he splits the Mercedes flagship team today.
Yeah, they looked really, really good. Fernando Alonso got on the podium, passed Sainz with a good chunk left. I think it was like 15 laps to go. He got by him and never looked back. The Mercedes look awful. I mean, they still both got points, but they look awful.
Yeah. Mercs did not look great. McLaren magically didn't get eons better just because Danny Ricciardo left, which is weird. I was told he was the problem.
I thought Danny was the issue.
Yeah, it's just him, man. I can't believe he's sabotaging them all the way from a different team.
I know, right? It's like unbelievable, Danny.
The nerve. No, I feel bad for Lando. I don't know Oscar enough to feel bad for him yet. I'm going to take my 2 weeks to enjoy that McLaren is struggling. And then I'll go back to just feeling bad for Lando, but I'm still petty. So I'm just going to be petty for a little bit. I think it'll be all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the F1 race, and that's about it.
Not really a lot to talk about at all.
Right.
Yeah. Congratulations to Max, I guess. You won in a car that you were supposed to win in. Good job.
Nah, he's the greatest to ever do it. Clearly, no, I'm not. I'm not getting into the weird cold behavior of F1 fan bases. It's already bad enough that I'm a Danny Rick fan. So let's just move on to IndyCar, which is there's a lot more to talk about with IndyCar.
There's a lot more just on lap one. I mean, it was not what I was expecting at all. Like turn 5 of the first lap, they were wrecking. Guy almost flipped over. Not completely sure who it was, but that's just because I'm not huge on IndyCar. But that was a pretty. I think it took out like 6 or 7 cars. The Auto Nation Hondas. I know I don't know the team names.
It took out 2 of the Auto Nation cars. I know that.
Right. Yeah. Took out the Auto Nation cars, which are always competitive just because who's driving them.
It's the Meyer Shank team. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And then it took like 2 hours to get through half of this race. My sister, who was at the race, I texted her and I'm like, can this race just be over already? And I'm like, oh my goodness, it just crossed halfway. We still have half the race to go.
Well, good thing it started at like noon.
Right. Yeah. And then later on, Grosjean pit, and then he was coming back around, and Scotty was in the pits, and they came out side by side. And Scotty on cold, hard tires was trying to do a bit too much, in my opinion, and blocked up the back end and took them both out.
It's fair. I think Grosjean got a bit desperate. He clearly had, like, if not the best, one of the best cars all weekend, really. And I think he just got scared that he wasn't going to be able to get back around Scotty. So Scotty lost the back end and got into him. So yeah, that's not on Grosjean. But if he just would have like waited for the next corner to fight for, he might have got through better. I don't know. He might not have been able to get around him at that point. I don't know enough to know if that new move was completely necessary or not.
Right. At that point, I mean, McLaughlin was still on cold, hard tires. So, I mean, let him go. And then next passing zone, you get right back by him. I just feel like it could have been avoided by both parties. But, and then Ward took the lead after that. And then had an issue with his car or something because he became much, much slower. And
I thought they said on the podcast that he hit like his pit road limiter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that when I was watching back highlights, because I didn't get to watch much of the race, they talked about how he was going to accelerate and bumped his pit road limiter.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah, it's got to hurt because he could have won that race.
He was absolutely going to win that race, yeah. But Marcus Ericsson.
Good job, Marcus.
Yeah.
My pick, Will Power, decided to send Colton Herta into the streets of St. Petersburg and in the middle of the corner. So he screwed any chance he had of winning. So good job, Will Power. But still had a better day than any of the Andretti cars. So
right, which looked also awful.
I mean, Grosjean had the race won.
Yeah,
that's.
I mean,
arguably had the race won.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You'd just been a bit more patient. I think he could have gotten back by him, but you know.
I don't know. I think Grosjean's going to win a race, and soon.
Yeah, he'll definitely get one this year.
He's definitely due, and he seems confident, and he seems to have a good car under him. So we'll see. That about covers IndyCar. Good job to Marcus Ericsson. Yeah, I don't have much else. Scott Dixon got on the podium, even though IndyCar doesn't have a true podium, do they?
I don't believe they do, but again,
But Scott Dixon finished top 3. He's the ageless wonder, if you will. He was the first driver I ever rooted for in IndyCar. I still root for him, but like he's not my absolute favorite anymore.
that's fair. Perfectly fair.
But yeah, that's that. Before we go into the touring series, we had some big news this week in the NASCAR realm. Chase Elliott fractured his leg in a snowboarding accident and is going to be out for an undetermined amount of time as of right now.
Right. I believe they said on the broadcast today he starts his rehab tomorrow, which is a good sign, maybe. I mean, obviously it's a good sign. I mean,
yeah, so I just hope he recovers quickly, recovers fully, and he's back in the car before we know it, honestly.
Right.
Seen a lot of really stupid discourse about drivers doing things in their off time, and anybody who doesn't think drivers should be able to do what they want in their downtime, you're not a fan of racing. You're just a fan of cars going in circles. Sorry.
How dare he do something for his own enjoyment? Unbelievable, Chase. Come on.
Yeah. How could Hendrick let him do that when they let him fly a plane, his own personal plane, back and forth to Charlotte from Dawsonville?
He flies everywhere. I mean,
yeah, he flies to like every race, but statistically, that's a little bit more dangerous
than
yeah. So if anything, I feel like Mr. H would have a problem with that over snowboarding. And I mean, Hayes had like broke his leg slipping in the shower. Would everyone say the NASCAR drivers can't take showers now?
I mean, and it was said he's not an amateur at snowboarding. He's
been doing it his whole life.
Right. Accidents happen.
That's the gist. Accidents happen. Drivers have to live their lives. We have to let them live their lives.
Right. They're just like me and you.
They're human beings. Just a lot better at driving.
Right.
All right. So yeah, that's it on the news stuff. Just hope Chase is okay long term. Gets back to being healthy enough to drive sooner rather than later.
Absolutely agree.
And hopefully they let Barry or whoever they put in the car do more than long laps next week.
Right.
I don't know. I guess we'll find out as we find out on that one. But
that's very true.
We'll go into the touring series now. From the Las Vegas weekend, we'll start with the truck series. The first half of this race was kind of typical trucks, mess, wrecks, hornet's nest from like fifth on back type racing. And in the first half of the race, drivers like Sanchez and Zane Smith and even Carson Hocevar were battling right with Kyle Busch and even leading the race for a while.
Right.
And second half, Kyle did Kyle things and pulled away. We had pit crews that were arriving late to the race that missed the first set of pit stops. They were running in from their entourage that was police escorted to the track. It's just wild.
Which leveled the playing field 100% from what I saw, because teams were pitting their Cup Series crews that are not trained in the 5 lug nuts anymore. I mean,
it was a mess all around there for a minute, but they got it worked out. Shout out to Haley Deegan for qualifying in the top 5. But also, Haley
Her
Deegan,
luck is still
her luck's
absolutely
terrible, but she knows at this point better than anyone, if you put yourself in the hornet's nest, you're going to get caught up in something.
absolutely right.
And the only way to stay out of the hornet's nest is to be in front of it. So she needs to, like, she seems to have gotten better on at least empty track, single car pace, which is good. But she needs to, like several other drivers of her age and caliber, she needs to put a whole race together. The last time she's put a full race together was Mid-Ohio last year, and she finished top 10. So she just needs to do like that. If she can knock off some top 10s and maybe a couple top 5s, she'll get over the first 2 races. She'll be fine. But she doesn't have many more mulligans at all.
Not at all. Performance has to start coming now, whether she wants to or not. She's got to do
it. It's go time. There ain't enough. There's only 21 races left in the schedule, and the playoffs will be here before you know it.
Okay.
But talked about Jamie Little last week, and right after we were talking about how I thought she deserved a Truck Series race. Lo and behold, she gets announced as the play-by-play for the Truck Series race, and I thought she did fine. She's definitely better than Vince Welch, which it's not a high bar.
No, not at all.
She stuck to the cards, I think, a little bit too much, but it being her first her second play-by-play, she did Nashville last year. I found that out. But it being her first one for this year, and it being more on her than before because of who she was in the booth with, I thought she did fine. And I hope she gets another opportunity to do it again.
She did pretty well, in my opinion, at least from what I saw. I didn't catch much of the truck race, but she sounded just fine.
But so that's it on the truck race. Good job, Kyle Busch. You proved that just because you changed the nose piece on the KBM truck, it's still a KBM truck, at least when you're in it. Nick Sanchez proved that KBM trucks are fast. I know it's a Rev Racing truck, but it's literally just a different sticker on a KBM truck. That's all it is.
Yep.
Rev Racing is not building trucks. They're just buying them from KBM. But he looked really good until he had issues and didn't make it to the end of the race, or at least went several laps down. I'm not sure exactly what happened to him. Once Kyle kind of pulled away, I kind of zoned out, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And that's no offense, Kyle. I was just kind of like vibing. But it was solid. But we'll talk about the best NASCAR race of the weekend now, the Xfinity Series, as always. I need to correct a mistake I made last week. At Daytona, Joe Graff was not in the 19. That was Mike Snyder. Joe Graff was in the 31. But also, Joe Graff's an idiot for spinning out Raja Carruth going into the corner for absolutely no reason at all.
No, that was ridiculously stupid.
The Xfinity race was really good. Lots more of the comers and goers. The Kaulig cars as a whole, Hemrick is, of course, off the other two because, of course he is. But he still ran around the top 10. But Kyle was in the 10 and Chandler was in the 16. And Chandler is the best driver Kaulig has signed since they signed Dinger. So
absolutely, yes, he is.
He's going to get a win. The Kaulig cars as a whole looked like Penske cars from the last few years, where they're like unbeatable for 25 laps and then they fall off a cliff. So that's kind of what happened at the end of the race. Is Chandler just ran out of stuff and got schooled by Austin Hill. Justin Allgaier threw that race away by doing the stupidest restart move I've seen someone do. It's been a rule forever that you can't go below the line. You can't change lanes until after the start-finish line. It's been,
it's not a secret anymore.
yeah, it's not a great rule. It's, Harvick said it on the broadcast, which after hearing him in the booth, I'm so excited for him to be in the booth next year. God, he sounds
Absolutely.
so much better than most of the people in the Fox booths right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's just got a natural charisma for it. But anyway, as Harvick said, it's not a gray area. It's a black and white rule, and it's a good rule. And Allgaier would have won that race if he not had a restart violation, because he would have been ahead of Hill, and he would have passed Chandler probably before Hill ever got to him coming to the white.
That's been the story of his year so far, Allgaier. He has the cars to win. He just somehow, some way messes it up. And
It sounds like his career.
yeah, honestly, it does. Absolutely.
Unless he downright dominates, he always gets he always screws the pooch, or something happens, or something.
Yeah.
The Xfinity race was more tame overall. There was a few little wrecks and stuff.
Yeah,
Mostly one car spin.
Sammy Smith spun on pit road.
Yeah, once again, Sammy Smith needs to put together a full race, please.
I'm begging you, please.
It happens, especially when they don't do live pit stops in the lower series. I get it, but they need to do something to help him put together a full race, because he's good, he's quick. He just, yeah. You could say that about so many people, that they need to put everything together for a weekend.
Yeah.
Luckily, it's still early in the season, so they have time. But at the same time, if you use up all your mulligans in the first month of the season, then you can't afford any mistakes the rest of it. But yeah, unfortunately, Kyle didn't have the car to get the sweep done. He still ran good.
He ran really well. Yeah.
Yeah, he ran good. I thought he did fine. Austin Hill wins the race. Congrats to him. He's now won 2 of the 3 races to start the year.
He looks really good early on.
And anyone who's ever said that Sheldon Creed is better than Austin Hill looks really, really dumb right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just, oh, he won a Daytona. Where's your argument now?
He won in Michigan too. Hill did.
Right.
But the argument in trucks even made no sense, because if you look at Hattori with Austin Hill, and then what have they done since? Nothing.
Right. They fell off a cliff since.
But and that's not to say Sheldon Creed's bad. I think Sheldon's doing just fine for being the second car. He needs to get a win. He needs to finish a bit better, but he's doing okay, I think.
Exactly.
But we'll finish up with the Cup race, since that's about it. Hendrick just took the race, and no one else could touch it.
No, not at all. The Hendricks Chevrolets were super fast, no matter who was driving it. Yeah.
The only one, Josh Berry was just there to log laps,
right,
and not wreck the car. That was the goal for this weekend. He accomplished it. Good job, Josh Berry.
Right.
I would like if they took the reins off him a little bit, but I understand why they didn't, because he's never been in that kind of car before.
Exactly. I mean, there's no crash course anymore. The Xfinity cars are a night and day difference from the Gen 7 cars.
Yeah. But I don't know. Byron got out front, and he stayed out front until Larson got ahead of him, and then Larson stayed out front until Almirola lost it. And I thought we were going to have a million green-white checkers again, but we didn't. They managed to keep it together until the backstretch on the final lap. Props to Truex and James Small for going for it. They weren't going to win that race if they pit, so why not try it? They held their own pretty decently.
They really did.
Shout out to Hendrick 1, 2, 3, because once Bowman got up through there, he once he got into the top 5, he never left the top 5.
And he's stringing together a couple good finishes here.
He is if my math's right, he is the most consistent driver so far. With Logano having his
issues.
Logano having his issues, yeah. Bowman's finished in the top 10 all 3 weekends and in the top 5 for 2 of them.
Yeah. I mean,
so
Denny Hamlin restarted 4th on that last restart. Did not finish in the top 10.
Yeah, he got used up by everyone. Which they had a solid day up to that point, but they got up there on some 2-tire strategy, held the lead for a little bit until Larson got back around him again. But Hamlin did not make that easy. But he clearly just didn't have the car to hold him off.
Not at all. Bubba Wallace had a 4th place finish.
Yeah, and
placing someone who's not Hendrick.
Yeah, he was the highest finishing non-Hendrick car. Both 2311 cars finished the race. Tyler Reddick did not finish last. He finished 15th.
And he had a fast car and then got in the wall.
Which, that just sounds like a Tyler Reddick race.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a good race overall. It was more strung out than like the Xfinity race was. It didn't seem like that one got too strung out until the final fuel run. There wasn't a caution for incident until Logano decided to give us the best product placement of the weekend.
Right, exactly.
He came to a stop like almost directly between the Pennzoil logos. That was pretty solid.
Right.
But
in his Steve Park inspired scheme.
Yeah, well, the Pennzoil car didn't win the Pennzoil race, so it's not rigged anymore.
Neither one of them did. Yeah. I don't even know where Blaney ended up finishing, but
I don't. He probably hit like another cat or something.
This one doesn't have this track doesn't have an issue with stray cats though.
It's just Blaney's luck, man. I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, yeah, he's becoming one of the most unluckiest people in the Cup Series garage.
It sure seems that way. I try to be a big proponent in not judging teams, especially new driver combinations, until like midway through the year. But if Storehouse Racing doesn't get their heads out of their asses, I swear.
Yeah, they
look terrible.
Yeah, we talked about cars looking bad all episode, but they are the bad, the worst.
It's just Harvick.
Right.
No one
where Briscoe went. He is just hanging out all the way in the back.
Yeah, he the only one running top 20 besides Harvick was Almirola, and then he brought out the last caution because of course he did. But yeah, it can't just be Harvick being the only one that performs. I understand that like Harvick and Ronnie are on a different level than everyone else, but something needs to change there, or I don't see how they like do anything at all once Harvick and Rodney leave.
Yeah, they are in for a rude awakening if they cannot get their stuff together.
I think they're already experiencing the rude awakening.
Right, they absolutely are. Briscoe's speed that he had last year is non-existent.
Yeah, no one has any speed, and I don't get it.
We are going to Phoenix next week, so maybe he can find it. Give himself some confidence going in.
They got to find something.
Even if you can get up to the top 20, I mean,
I believe next week is the first time we'll see that different aero package and a full race.
You are correct, yeah.
Yeah, with the underbody pieces removed and the smaller spoilers. So hopefully that makes Phoenix a little more ass happy.
I really hope so.
I don't think it'll do what they want it to, but I think it'll be better than it was.
Right.
That's my quote unquote prediction on that. But yeah, it was a pretty solid weekend. We had some mild races like the F1 race, and we had some wild races like the Indycar race.
Right. Yeah.
All the NASCAR races in Vegas were solid to great. I'd put the Cup race at like a 7.5. I mean, I enjoy dominance. I respect it, but like, I don't know. There was enough going on through the field where like it kept the race interesting.
Right, exactly. And he was not going to win that race if it had gone green. And he deserved to win that race. He was the fastest car all day.
Well, you got to be lucky and fast sometimes.
Right, exactly.
And another race decided by a battle off pit road.
Right, yeah. Larson's crew didn't look like they screwed up, but
they just weren't fast enough.
Bit slow. And
Byron's pit stop was 0.4 faster. That was the money stop.
Going back to last year, William Byron had one of the better crews each and every week.
It seems like he had the better one today, and that paid off.
And Chevrolet, 3 wins in a row.
Yeah, Chevrolet 3 wins in a row. They've
not lost a Cup race this year.
Toyota's won one Xfinity race. The other 2 have been won by Chevys. Who won Daytona? Oh, Zane Smith and a Ford. So we've had a Ford. We've had one Ford win, one Toyota win. All the rest have been Chevy wins.
Right.
That's
Chevy's
wild.
Looking really, really good right at the beginning of this season.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, it was a solid weekend. About everything went about as we thought it would.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be a matter of who can catch Chevys on the intermediates. I feel like the 23X Sky cars are faster than the JGR cars, at least right now.
I'm starting to think that as well, yeah.
And I kind of hope that continues because I really want to see Bubba and Tyler do good.
Yeah.
And them both finally getting their first finish of the year 3 weeks in.
Yeah. About time, honestly. Tough start for them.
Yeah, they see. Hopefully the trend continues, and hopefully they buck the early season demons first. It's a pretty solid weekend of racing overall. I was pretty happy with it. This episode will go up sometime tomorrow when I get through going through the audio. But I think that'll about do it for us. Want to thank y'all. Want to thank y'all for listening. Anybody who chooses to, it's much appreciated. No one has to. But
we can't make you. So
not yet.
Not yet, at least.
Nah. But we will try to get together the next couple of days and record a new what if scenario and make our predictions for the coming race weekend at Phoenix and wherever F1 races, because I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yep, I could not tell you. They jumbled up the schedule a little bit. We'll have that for you later in the week.
Yeah, we'll have our incredible hot takes, and I promise I won't pick Kyle Busch for every race next week.
That's because he's not in every race next week, is he?
He's in the Xfinity race and the Cup race. He's not in the F1 race.
Well, obviously, trucks aren't racing this week.
Yeah, trucks aren't racing in Phoenix, but
Oh, okay.
but yeah, we're gonna hop off and hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you in a couple of days.
Sounds good.